In January 1959, 9 students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute prepared for a winter expedition. They were young, strong, and experienced hikers. Their leader was Igor Dyatlov, a talented engineer and skier. With him were 8 friends, men and women in their 20s. They wanted to test their skills against the Ural Mountains, a challenge of endurance and courage. The locals called the mountain they aimed for Cholachiakal. In the native Mansi language, it meant the Mountain of the Dead, a name that would soon become a dark prophecy. The hikers carried skis, food, cameras, and notebooks. They laughed, took photos, and sang songs by the fire. This was supposed to be an adventure, but da fuita das ifirwaiden kinarin noa das gap estudesti aye become their final journey. Weeks later, when the group failed to return, a rescue mission was launched. On the snowy slopes, searchers found the camp. The hikers' tent was still standing, but it was ripped open from the inside, as if they had cut their way out in panic. Inside, everything was left behind: boots, coats, money, even food. Why would experienced hikers abandon all protection in the freezing night? Outside, a trail of footprints led away from the camp. Some prints showed bare feet, others only socks. The tracks led into the forest and then vanished in the snow. The first 2 bodies were discovered at the edge of the forest. They lay near a small fire, barefoot, wearing only underwear. Branches above them were broken, as if they had tried to climb the trees for safety or to escape something. Their hands were covered in cuts, raw and bloody. Soon, 3 more hikers were found. They were dressed, but their bodies were positioned as if they had tried to return to the tent, collapsing one by one in the snow. Months passed before the final 4 were discovered. They were buried deep in a ravine, under snow and ice. But their injuries were shocking. One had her eyes missing. Another, her tongue was gone. Several had broken ribs and crushed skulls. Injuries like a car crash. Yet, there were no signs of a struggle, and no footprints of an attacker. Even stranger, some of their clothes carried traces of radiation. What could explain such horrors in the frozen wilderness? Theories spread like wildfire across Russia. Some believed an avalanche struck the tent, forcing the hikers to flee in panic, but the slope was too gentle, and no evidence of an avalanche was ever found. Others whispered of secret Soviet military tests, strange weapons hidden in the mountains, pieces of metal, and classified documents seemed to hint at experiments. Villagers spoke of a curse, ancient spirits of the Ural Mountains. The very name, Mountain of the Dead, was enough to frighten the locals. And then there were the lights. That same winter, glowing orbs were seen in the sky above the pass. UFOs, some said. Others believed it was something not human, watching, waiting. When the investigation closed, the Soviet authorities wrote a single phrase: an unknown compelling force. No avalanche, no killer, no answers. Families demanded the truth, but the files were locked away, and witnesses were silenced. The case was buried under snow, and secrecy More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved. Historians, scientists, even paranormal researchers still debate what really happened. Was it nature? Was it the military? Or was it something beyond our understanding? 9 young lives ended on the mountain of the dead. And the mystery remains frozen forever in the silence of the Ural night.